Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to this video where we are going to talk about the upcoming full moon lunar eclipse happening at 25 degrees of Pisces. Now, this eclipse is going to be taking place September 17th, and the eclipse itself is going to be happening at 8:35 p.m., and that is in Colorado time, Mountain Time. So you just need to adjust that to your particular time zone so you can see exactly when it is happening for you. Now, this is kind of a big news, not only because it is an eclipse and this is coming up in just a little bit for us, but also because the eclipse energy impacts us for about 6 months. We take that energy and we see it play out for about 6 months. And I think that this particular eclipse is a little bit unique because it brings us as the first eclipse into the Virgo and the Pisces axes. And we are going to be telling this story and working on that Virgo Pisces axis until 2027. So first of all, that is the big piece of impact that this energy is bringing us into. So we're going to get some information. We're going to see some places we need to surrender. We're going to see places where we need to have emotional illuminations because this is a full moon. We're going to see the places where we need to practice and look at our boundaries, and where we're also going to have the spiritual insights and healings that we need to move from this bridge of the dreams that we have and the visions that we have for ourselves and our lives and the world, Pisces, into Virgo, the practical actions and methodical steps that have to happen here on the earth plane to make those things happen. We're going to see the places between the addictions and the poor behaviors we have that are leading to our own undoing, and the practical steps we need to take in order to be healthy and to bridge the gap between the sickness and the wellness, right? We're going to see many times, many times, we're going to see people coming to light with their creativity and needing to find a way to take this beautiful, healthy, loving creativity and put it together with something in the real world, in the tangible reality of the world to integrate it and to make that particular dream come true and to make that vision a reality. One of the prime examples that we're going to see, especially Pluto coming back to the vibration of Aquarius, as we're going to continue to experience this Pisces and Virgo work, is we're going to see creative people, creative entrepreneurs coming about and needing to bridge that gap from their creative skills and talents that they have and bring it into the real world and make it profitable. And that's something that I really love. And obviously, you guys know I have Legatia Academy, my business school, where I only work with creative entrepreneurs and show you how to build businesses and make them profitable. So this will be a key story that we are also going to experience here as well. But while it's exciting that this is a beginning of something that we are also going to work on until 2027, we've got 2 years to really play this story out and learn these lessons. This particular full moon lunar eclipse in Pisces is also kind of the celebration check-in pivot point of a lunar family story that started back in 2023. So we have a lot to be looking at in this particular eclipse, and I've done this video a little bit different because of the comments that you left me. Many of you said you love taking screenshots so that you can go back and look at it. So I gave you some screenshots with a little bit more detail, especially about the aspects, and I also gave you a breakdown of the aspects so you can remember what that is, just in case you're not, fully strong in your astrology just yet. Speaking of which, if you want to get stronger in your astrology and you are ready to learn, I would love for you to join me at my new school, GAFA, the Grace Astrological Fluency Academy. Right now, you can take my first class that is down and it'll get your astrological foundations underneath you. And while the school is being built, you can take that class, all 7 of them, for $67. And it is not just a class where you sit down and you watch the video and get your life together. There are handouts, there are worksheets, because at GAFA, we focus on making sure that you leave our school astrologically fluent, which means you can speak, read, and write the language of astrology. So if that's you and you're ready to sign up, click in the description box down below and grab that course and get started. Now, also while you're down in that description box, you can click the link over to the blog where I broke down this particular full moon lunar eclipse, its impact into each of the astrological houses in the chart. So you can go into your chart and say, this is happening in my 3rd house. What is the impact and how can I work with that? I gave you a full layout. And if you're not sure how to find where this eclipse is happening in your chart or any other transit, I'll put that video at the end of this one on how you can find the active transit in your chart. Okay, all of that good stuff is out of the way. Let's journey in here and see what this moon has to offer, including we are going to look at the chart as well. So first things first, this is, again, it is the first eclipse on that Virgo Pisces axis that we're going to experience until 2027. So we're beginning a story that dances between intuition and logic, between the world in between the worlds and the world that is in the human earth form. It's material, it is grounded. So we've got a story that we're going to be telling here. And as the nodes make this official switch into the Virgo Pisces space, we're also going to be coming into yet another cycle story of looking back into our own lives into the last 20 years. Like, what has happened? Where have we been? Where were you at last time this happened in your chart? But I'll make a separate video on that. For us now, what we want to pay attention to is that this is still a full moon, okay? So it's asking us at this point to end something, to acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. Now, like I was saying to you at the beginning of the video, this particular eclipse also falls inside of a lunar family. And the lunar families are just the last time a grouping of lunations happened at these particular degree points. So when we go back into your life, I want you to go back March 21st of 2023. And we actually had the new moon happening at 0 degrees of Aries. So very close to this Pisces point, but it was just right there, okay? Within that 5-degree orb. So go back to that time. Where were you planting your seeds of intention? What were you asking to come into your life? What were you asking to bring into your life? You wanted to have a different experience. Maybe you were working on boundaries. Maybe you were looking at having courage to begin something at that time in your life, right? You would have been planting your seeds of intention at that time, and it doesn't mean that everything was clear. But just go back to the date. Go back to your calendars. Go back to your transit calendars. However you keep up with what's going on in your life, go back and see what you were working on or what was starting to come into your life at that time. Now, when we got to December 19th of 2023, this is where the lunation from that new moon time came into the first quarter time. So what you asked for, then it was in motion. You were in motion. You were moving. You were taking action. People, places, and things were falling out of your life because they didn't match the vibration of what you asked for at the new moon time. So the first quarter time is action, action, action. You have to trust your instincts. Things often get very busy. And we really, if we're doing well, we can let the universe do the heavy lifting and take out of our lives what does not match the vibration of what we asked for. So it's a very, very movable time. Now, as we come here to this full moon, lunar eclipse happening at 25 degrees of Scorpio, one of the things that we know is that while it is that beginning of a new cycle, it's also the pivot point of another one. So here, you need to full moon. First of all, it's asking you to end something, acknowledge something, or to make an adjustment. But well before you do those things, it's going to ask you to celebrate. How have you changed? How has what you were working on in March of 2023 come to fruition in your life? Something has been built. So take a minute to celebrate. Celebrate emotionally how you've changed. Celebrate where you've learned something about your boundaries, even if the lesson was painful, right? Because unfortunately, I wish we could just show up to our biggest lessons and be like, you know what, I thought about it, and I'm just going to get on being a better person, or I'm going to just set those boundaries. Unfortunately, we seem to be like charcoal, right? You put us under a bunch of pressure, a bunch of pain, and then we display our diamonds. So even if the lessons about boundaries, about really believing in yourself, setting a vision for your life, and then believing that you are allowed to have that, surrendering things, bringing things to a close, your creativity, depending on the house this was in for you, these are going to be the themes, but something was built here, so celebrate that. But now, in alignment with achieving the goal that you set back in March of 2023, you've got to pivot here. We have to first look around at what's going on, and all the lights are on so you can see emotionally, what are you still connected to? Where do you need to set a firmer boundary? Where do you need to pick a different vision for yourself because you've outgrown even the vision that you started with, and now it's time for something else? But you need to see it, and pivot, because something needs to be, you got to commit to a new direction of how this is going to go, okay? Now, we're going to bring this lunar family story to a close June 18th of 2025, and this will be what you started in 2023, that March time frame, all the way to this June time frame. You're going to see it come to a close, a culmination. Maybe you built something. Maybe there's a financial benefit to it now. Maybe you're receiving some rewards. Whatever it is, you'll be done working on that particular family of lunation, okay? That particular set of emotional issues. Now, we're also going to see, though, that, right, this is that fresh beginning in the Virgo-Pisces axes. So when we look at the Virgo-Pisces axes, first of all, like I said, we're going to be working on that until 2027, and it's this place between the intuition and the material space. So when you're thinking about this full moon lunar eclipse, one of the ideas that comes up for me, especially around some of the other aspects, is there really is this place of believing that you're allowed to have it and thus behaving and acting and building like you can. Let's take a look here at some of the aspects that are going to be happening. And I listed them all out for you, so hopefully they've come out beautifully for you. Okay, so what we can see here first and foremost with our aspects is that, of course, when we've got a full moon, we're going to have the sun and the moon in opposition, okay? And so when we have the sun and the moon in opposition, our needs and our wants can feel like they're going in two different directions, right? We have an opposing energy. We can feel ourselves having opposition in our lives. You know, the moon is saying, I just want to feel deeply through this. I want to be by myself and be in the mystery and the magic and create or avoid, depending on what that looks like. Meanwhile, the sun is on the other side being motivated, like, no, let's get it together. Let's be out here. Let's get organized. Let's be fit. Let's be fresh. Let's get our lives together, right? So you see the opposition here that is happening. So what we're trying to do with that sun and moon in the first place is we are looking to create some kind of balance between the reality and the dream, the tangible and the intangible. But because this is also an eclipse that's happening here, we're going to have a reset. So we're getting reset around how we deal with the things that are in the dream space. We are getting a reset to our ideas, ideals, and beliefs around what we're allowed to have. We're becoming more emotionally intelligent and ready to edge towards that Virgo side, not just dream about it, not just talk about it, not just crave it, but instead move towards having a practical solution. Now, one of the other things I do want to point out, because this is a Pisces moon, okay, Pisces is just so sensitive. I think about, I don't know why, I know you guys are the double fish, that is the the symbol, but I often think about SpongeBob, because SpongeBob SquarePants, because SpongeBob as a sponge is just very porous, very, very, very porous. Right? So at this time when the eclipse is happening and as we're going to be traveling, you're very porous. It's very easy for you to have information or energy or poisons seep into your being, especially your emotional being. So I do think over the next 6 months, being really mindful about what and whom you are putting in your body or your space or your information, your content base is really, really important. You know, a way to think about this is before you eat that food, ask yourself, am I loving myself by eating this? Am I really loving myself by eating this? Before launching into that book or that podcast or that content creator, ask yourself, am I really loving myself by bringing this content into my life and into my space? You know, because if not, no one else is going to really be looking out for your well-being. They're just not. So the intensification of how porous I think that you are at this particular time, even to the spaces that are unseen, is something that you have to be to the Virgo side, motivated to prioritize your own wellness, motivated to eliminate things from your space that don't help you prioritize your emotional wellness as well. Now, other things, let's take a look at the aspects that are also playing in here. First of all, we have got this absolutely brilliant conjunction with Neptune, right? So they're one of the ruling planets this lunation is absolutely in conjunction with. So this is again going to heighten, I think, some of that porousness, but it's also heightening the spiritual presence of this particular eclipse. So really, I would also be paying attention at this time to your dream life, to symbols that are presenting themselves, to any kind of creative or emotional downloads that are coming to you. But we have to be mindful with this energy as well. Neptunian energy in and of itself can also be very confusing. It can be very delusional. It can be in the space of imagination that's not actually healthy and helpful. So we do want to be mindful as you're taking things on, that you're not taking on people, places, and things that are also deceiving you, that are deceptive. I think one of the biggest pieces of deception that we will all encounter, every single one of us, are the stories we tell ourselves about what we're allowed to have and why we're doing what we're doing. And that will stay in opposition to the Virgo side, which Virgo is very methodical. It's like, no, if you want to lose 10 pounds, you need to do this, 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 and this. But on the Pisces side, we're like, yes, but I just had a hard day, whatever. So we may find a few more of those excuses, or we find ourselves feeling a bit more deceived in the story that it's fine, I got it, I can just do it myself. Yet the results of what you've been trying to do by yourself are not producing results, right? Not results that you want. So we have to be mindful of that particular aspect as well. Now, sitting in square to the other ruler of this lunation, Jupiter down here in Gemini, what we're going to see here is that, first of all, it's a tense aspect. This is tension, right? This is a square. This is uncomfortable. So the lunation being in a square to that, no one is having a good time. No one's having a good time with that. When the expansive planets are squaring one another, it's just a bit of an uncomfortable vibration. So first of all, as we experience this, what you can expect to have in terms of a sensation is you want to be really optimistic about something you want to do, or something you've been taking on, or a story that you've been telling yourself, or a willingness to move forward, but it's overestimated, right? It's too big. So something this eclipse will do is, I think it levels us in terms of getting our expectations together. It's like that expectation is completely unrealistic. That is not the thing, and again, it comes down, I think, a little bit to the deceptive stories we've been telling ourselves. And so we're put in this position where it's like, whoa, I have been, aiming too high, or I've been aiming really low, and I need to adjust my expectations and my perceptions. And I've also been, maybe again, I really keep coming back to this in this particular lunation and this Pisces Virgo story of, I got it, I can do it myself, right? This idea that somehow I'm just gonna make it happen, even if it's a skill or a talent or a system or a process that I've never done before. It's really very delusional, right? Now, to the other side, I love the amplification of the optimism here. I love the amplification of the resources. This is Gemini, right? So there's lots of resources, lots of options, lots of opportunities to go learn with somebody to teach you how to do this business thing, how to do this astrology thing, how to do this parenting thing, how to do this career thing. There's lots of options and opportunities, but there may be too many as well. So something that I think can be helpful in this square is to remember to ask a lot of questions. This is where Jupiter and Gemini can be helpful. One of the things I talk about in my business program is I am unwilling to learn about business principles from someone who has not achieved the business principles that I would like to achieve, right? That means when I work with coaches, or when I move towards a coaching program or something like that, I'm like, show me your numbers, show me your business. How is it working? And I do the same in my business program. I share my numbers, the actual money that I am making, so that people can see there's a transparency here. And I think that this is where Jupiter can be helpful in this square, is that you can be asking a lot of questions so that you're not getting overwhelmed in the information, in the networking, in the overextending yourself, buying too many courses, taking too many things, taking on too many obligations with the home. Just ask questions that get you in alignment with the goal that you would like to achieve, okay? Now, we're also going to see over here, we've got some other really brilliant connections. One of them being there is this nice sextile happening over here to Uranus in Taurus. And I like this, excuse me. There is a sextile from the moon to Uranus in Taurus. There is a trine from the sun to Uranus in Taurus. I just want to share it that way so that we're clear, okay? So either way, the sextile is brilliant because the sextile presents a pocket of opportunity where we are intelligently taking action. So Uranus is going to support these breakthrough ideas. This, yes, let's go in a different direction. Yes, let's do something that creates freedom for us. And where are we trying to create freedom? In the Taurus spaces, in the material reality. So liberation around your relationships, liberation around your self-worth, your self-esteem, liberation around your finances. These are all going to be things that are, again, becoming material realities. And I am telling you guys, from the personal to the mundane, I think we are really going to see an even bigger increase of the entrepreneur coming out, people coming to make their own way because they're realizing in their companies and their businesses, and you may be in this camp as well, that there's a ceiling on what they want to do or what they want to earn. And if they want to go in a different direction, if they want to live a different lifestyle, if they want to work in a way that's more in alignment with their health, people are going to be creating their own things. And what that will do, it's very Uranus and Taurus because it removes the ceiling, it blows it wide open, and it creates some really big breakthrough changes of creativity. And you can take it out into the world and let it be Taurus, quite profitable, which is just brilliant. Okay, now we've got another aspect that I think is really useful too. We've got a sextile to that Pluto retrograde at 29 degrees of Capricorn. Woo-ha! Okay, but we've also got the trine to the sun happening there. But this sextile from the moon to Pluto offers an opportunity for really deep transformation. Because Pluto is at that anaretic degree, it's intensified, but it's intensifying our resolve around understanding why the world that we used to live in doesn't exist anymore, and why some of the principles we can't take forward from them, right? There's going to be some old stories that were authored by a society, and we don't necessarily believe them anymore. Some of them we're going to be like, this was a beautiful story, I want to take it forward. We're going to see that there are the last moments up until November of power struggle dynamics happening with our worlds, with our societies, with our pain points, right? Our pain points of getting into the Pluto in Aquarius vibration, right? And you'll see this in the world around you. Now, we are gathering here on YouTube, right? So there is some access to living in the digital revolution that's happening for those of us that are gathering here. But we will watch in the world around us, this place where people keep saying, I'm afraid that machines are going to take over. I will tell you, I don't think so. I think that this is so much like the Industrial Revolution, where it's not that the machines are going to take over the people. It's the people who use the machines that will take over the people that are not. And this is something at a spiritual level, at an astrological spiritual level, when we're looking at the power dynamics and the emotional baggage and fear that has to be relieved and released around that in order to come forward into the way the world is going to function next. This is going to be an urging that we desperately, desperately need. But this sextile creates an emotional opportunity to take action on addressing those pains and addressing that emotional baggage. Now, I did want to note too, I put this very loose connection with Saturn that's in Pisces up here at 15 degrees. Okay, I just want you to see that I've listed this and why. The moon tends to have really wide fingers. I'm an orb snob, and orbs are just how close or far planets are from one another. And the moon tends to have wide, wiggly fingers, so I typically assign about 10 degrees, really, around the moon, especially here to Saturn. And I think that this very loose conjunction to this lunation, it does remind us that, first of all, Saturn in Pisces has been getting us clear on our boundaries and where we have got to come into some real mastery of those boundaries. It's really almost a the pain point is here. We feel the limitation when we're not living in alignment with our boundaries. But the other side of that is that it may have put us in a position to first experience the sensation of being afraid to speak our boundaries because we don't want to make anybody uncomfortable. We don't really want to rock the boat in any kind of way. We're afraid we'll get in trouble. And it's really funny how this presents itself. When Saturn gets involved, these can be old stories that have authored our life where it's like, well, I don't want to be a bad girl. I don't want to be a bad boy. So I just need to, right? So even here with Saturn in Pisces, it may be that, first of all, you're looking at these structures and these securities that have been around you for a very long time, and they are feeling a little bit unstable because you're being asked to put forward the effort to dig into your own emotional being and stand up for yourself, or to make a space for yourself. Now, it's still the moon. This is still the moon. So there is the relationship of caring for and looking into the family. So some of this could just be family stories that you're reauthoring and you're coming to. But even more than that, the thing I think I like about Saturn's presence here being really, really very helpful is that it is encouraging us to, it's almost like it's encouraging us to set our boundaries so that we remember that we have to say no to some things so that we can really honestly have the freedom of heart, the freedom of creativity to say yes to something else. Right? It's going to allow us to trust ourselves and our intuition and our voice when we're setting boundaries, or when we're saying yes to say no, or saying no to say yes, that we can trust ourselves to build new structures in our lives that are in alignment with our spiritual needs. They are in alignment with letting go of people, places, and things that we don't need anymore. And we come into a place of trust, because Saturn does want mastery of Piscean qualities. And that is mastery of understanding that things are not forever. There's a completion, and that when the completion has happened, we need to surrender it. There is a surrender to win aspect. I've been talking a lot about that, right? Where it's like, I got it, I'll figure out, I'll do it, even though I've never had any training in that, or even though my results are not getting me the results that I want. So there's this surrender aspect where it's like, surrender to win. Ask for help, release this old emotional pattern and need to be the chameleon in the room and look like you know everything and you know what's going on and you got it. And instead, practice a bit of humility and love and patience and the exploration of those Pisces waters of everything's everything. But it's also okay for me to the Virgo side. Ask for help, get a plan in place, get a structure, because it's the only way I'm going to build a structure that's in alignment with the life that I really want to live, and that I also feel like is in alignment with my mission, my purpose for being here, my goal for being here. If you take my classes, I always tell you, don't let the full moon have that word purpose, because oh my goodness, we'll be here all day and all night. So instead we want to use the word goal, okay? Now, one of the other things that I want to look at is, of course, the chart, because I would like you to see, besides just the written aspects, I want you to be able to get your eyeballs on this beautiful chart so you can see the way that all of these things are playing out. And there's just a lot of conversation that's really going down at this particular lunation. So when we're looking at this chart, I think a lot about the Piscean qualities as well in this entire story, where we're needing to cultivate things of boundaries, spiritual energy. How do I have this dream or this thing that I want to do for myself, this vision that I'm creating, and how do I bring that into a material reality? Well, I might have to spend some time by myself. I might have to, Pisces, go home, be in the quiet, turn off all of the noise because I've got too many options because of that Jupiter and Gemini. I've got too many options, too many networking, and I need quiet so that I can think, I can hear, I can meditate, I can see how my being feels in what I'm creating in order to set the boundaries that I need to set to have this whole new experience, to be free, to be liberated, right? So this is what the chart looks like. I just wanted to make sure you guys saw it, but I also really want you to know that I heard you when you asked for those screenshots and a little bit more breakdown of the aspects. So hopefully that's been really brilliant to be able to provide those for you. So some of the ways that I think you can spend some time balancing and really aligning with this particular lunation is, first of all, to look at where in your life you're having that experience of balancing your practical reality with your intuition. You know, how much are you trusting your intuition, and then you're just trusting, I got it, this has come to me, now let me just take the step-by-step actions, which is that Virgo sun, to make it happen. You know, because I know something that happens for me is that I'll get stuck in the why or the how, and sometimes that doesn't matter. If my intuition has peaked up, my question is, okay, show me. It's not even a question, it's a willingness. Okay, show me how to build that. Show me a practical way to allow that to happen, right? So this balance between the practicality and the intuition. I think it's really great and really important over this next 6 months to be very mindful about overextending yourself. That Jupiter energy is there. It's alive. It's well. So taking on too much, saying yes too many times, right? Really filling the plate up and having the delusion that you're going to be able to take it all on. So be mindful about not overextending yourself, because also your body is keeping the score, right? What we take on, there has to be room to experience the things that we bring into our life, assimilate to them, have the mind-body connection, and then to let them go. But if there's just too much on the plate, it's just experience, and then I don't know what I've experienced, and I'm overwhelmed, and my system's overwhelmed as well. We have Uranus involved in this particular eclipse, so make room for the universe to surprise and delight you. Embrace change. Embrace the change of directions. Embrace your changes, how you're showing up, where you're like, yeah, it's very different for me to let go of something without the claw marks in it, you know, or it's really different for me to allow myself space to have a breakthrough of emotions as well. I mean, how many of us women out here have had the idea that if I fully experience the wilds of my emotions, or I express big emotions, I'm an inconvenience? Right? This is a very big societal thing that has been present and available. How many of us women have lived out of alignment with our natural cycles? These are really big breakthroughs to be able to surrender living in a way that's not in alignment with them and come back. Again, check which house this is happening for in your chart, because it'll tell you more about where you've got space for your breakthroughs. The other thing is to really ground yourself into whatever your spiritual practices are. And hopefully they are spiritual practices that are feeding you, making you feel like you are safe, loved, and protected, seated in the hands of the universe, or whatever you call a higher power, right? But look at your spiritual practices, because there comes the time in the day where the universe is going to just be sitting and waiting for your invitation to really participate and letting you know that you're held. And life is going to be kicking you right in your heart, and you're either going to feel that connection with the universe or you are not. But it's like anything else, right? We can't have this active, healthy, like big booty spiritual life if we're not in the spiritual gym doing our big booty spiritual reps. So we want to make sure that the spiritual fitness, and we'll continue to work on that spiritual fitness over this next 2 years. That'll be in that nodal story as well. So bring this to your table, bring this to your questioning at this particular lunation. And if you don't have a spiritual life, or it's been lacking, you haven't actually been doing that meditation, you know, this will be the time to pivot and make a commitment to a new direction. And last but not least, set your boundaries. understand what your boundaries are and set them and stick to them. Anybody who does not like your boundaries is probably because they enjoy manipulating you, right? So take a look at that. But also, we can't be upset with people for crossing our boundaries that we've never let them know that we set. So this is all a beautiful lunation to get us set on a pivoted pathway to not only make a pivot and change directions, but also set ourselves, on the course of some real new victories and experiences and freedoms, I think, that we have available in this work. All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, if you want to learn more about Pisces energy, especially in your own chart, I would invite you to come and join me at GAFA, my school, Grace Astrological Fluency Academy. Come get that 101 class and let's get started on your astrological journey, because I love sitting here with you, but your astrology is so much more delicious than the astrology. All right, beautiful friends, I love you. Check out these videos next, and I will see you in the next one.